basin, and after panning and getting the concentrate, they do not apply any chemical, no mercury. They try to pan it for several times and then start heating the ore with the waste on it. That's the concentrate. Once they heat the concentrate and it exposes the minerals, the other, both gold and other metals in it. After that, they put it on a very shiny silver pan.
The VC and his entourage are processing into the auditorium.
Please remain standing for the opening prayer by Pastor Ben Dako, the university chaplain.
Thank you, Registrar. Shall we close our eyes in prayer? Lord Jesus, here we are this afternoon, giving you thanks one more time for all you do for us as individuals and for us as a big family and a university. We thank you because we are here not by our own might, not by our own strength that we should boast about. It is by your grace that we live, move, and have our being. Thank you for genuine mercies you granted all and sundry coming from far and near. Thank you so much for the strength granted, especially our speaker this afternoon. The wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding, Bible says, cometh from above. We thank you so much for the success of the program, because we know with you on our side, we are more than conquerors and we are more than victorious. Therefore, take preeminence and take charge over this gathering. When all is said and done, you know us will never take your praise. We shall run back to you with a heart of appreciation and gratitude in honor of your name. We have asked all this in Jesus' precious name we have prayed. Amen.
Please take your seats. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you all for coming. This is yet another historic moment in the history of the university. The second in the series of inaugural lectures to be presented here at the University of Energy and Natural Resources. The first of every event is referred to as inaugural. And therefore we have inaugural meetings, we have inaugural speeches, lectures, inaugural parade, inaugural conference, once it is the first. But when you come to academia, we have what we call inaugural, professorial inaugural lecture. And let me read a piece to you by way of education. A professorial inaugural lecture is an auspicious occasion for a university to acknowledge the appointment or promotion of new full professors, to introduce them to the academic and non-academic community of the university, and to provide the opportunity for engagement with the wider community. It is a key milestone in the career progression of every academic staff, signifying their promotion to the rank of full professor. It is an opportunity also for our new professors or professorial colleagues to present their innovative research firsthand to a wider public. This is the significance of the professorial inaugural lecture. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, I have a singular honor and privilege to introduce the chairman for the occasion, who is no other by convention and tradition than the Vice Chancellor of the University of Energy and Natural Resources, Professor Elvis Asare-Bediako. With a round of applause, shall we welcome? He will give us some opening remarks and read the profile of the lecturer. Thank you.
Today is a great day, and a great day is today. Break forth, O Uenr, and impart your world. When the floodgates of progress are open, The waters flow and reach every corner, every twist and turn until the streets are all nothing but water. The inaugural floodgates of inaugural lectures were open, and here we are once again as a university, as a family, and as a people working for a common good for yet another inaugural lecture. While this is just the second in the history of this university, it is unique in its own right and must be celebrated so. Moreover, this inaugural lecture, like the one before it, forms part of the celebrations of our 10th anniversary. The acting Pro-Vice-Chancellor from our sister university, CKT UTAS. The registrar, distinguished invited guests, our members of the university community, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very thrilled this special afternoon for yet another inaugural lecture in the history of Uenr. As a solemn moment in the life of a professor, inaugural lectures hold their own place in the academic horizon as the frontiers of knowledge continue to expand the world where there's always more to learn and to discover. The inaugural lecture itself is comparable to the concluding part of a thesis, which itself is not the conclusion, but the beginning into unknown spheres of knowledge, as there are always a recommendation for further studies. We are gathered here this afternoon to learn from and celebrate one of our own. Acknowledge all those present to grace this special occasion. It is better to see to it yourself than to be told. We are grateful for your presence. My profound acknowledgement also goes to every individual who has worked behind the scenes and to make this special occasion successful. A special recommendation to the Investor Relation Organization, Investor Relation Office, and our lecture series committee. Without you, the unknown ground crews, the jet flies of this inaugural lecture begin, might never have left the earth. Now the big question about what and whom are we here gathered. Let us take the what first and then cap it up with whom. We are gathered for an inaugural lecture with the topic, Myths and Realities of Small-Scale Gold Mining in Ghana, the Green Gold Transition. This is an interesting topic, even from a lay perspective, isn't it? Some question might be ringing in your mind. What are the myths of a small-scale gold mining in Ghana? What are the realities? What is green gold at all? In each of us living this lecture with a bar of... Is each of us living this lecture with a bar of gold? Definitely not. Well, stay calm. These questions will be answered leaving no stone unturned. Now, the other part of the big question. About whom are we gathered this afternoon? We are here to celebrate one of our own whose academic journey is one worthy of emulation, and who can proudly say that he has shown the way for generations to follow. We are here for Professor Emmanuel Arhin. Yes, Professor Emmanuel Arhin. We are here for you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a brief introduction of the speaker of the day. But for a full biography, please, you can refer to your brochure and you can get the detail. I'm going to give you just at this. Emmanuel Arhin is a professor of applied geology at the University of Energy and Natural Resources, Doma in Ghana. I think I have to say Doma in the Brong region of Ghana. He holds BSc Geology, Geological Engineering degree from University of Science and Technology, and MPhil Mineral Exploration, also from KU University. Ghana, and a PhD in Geology degree from Leicester University, UK. Professor Emmanuel Arhin was born in Bushen in the Bantima municipality of the Ashanti region of Ghana. To Asuna family and to the royal family of Bushen traditional area. Hey, I didn't know you are a royal. His research in applied geochemistry and applied geology has been on diverse issues, such as the impact of the natural environment to public or population health, regolith science and the definition of gold anomalies, value addition to physical resources, as well as improving the standard operation procedures for the small-scale mining activities in Ghana. Recently, he has been involved in a new field of mineral processing technique that seeks to replace the use of harmful chemicals such as mercury and sodium cyanide. Professor Arhin is a fellow of Society of Economic Geologists, a member of Ghana Institution of Geoscientists, and a chapter leader of Ghana Medical Geologists. He's also a board member of the International Society of Environmental Geochemistry, an editorial member of UC Nutrition. Professor Arhin is a journal reviewer and has reviewed many Scopus-listed journals and many others. He has over 90 publications in the field of geoscience, including peer-reviewed journals, technical report, and special publication. Prof. Arhin is married. He's a married man. He's married to Mrs. Comfort Afrifa Arhin. I hope he's here. Oh, please, let's give it. You are welcome. And has 4 children. I hope their children are here. The children, okay. Now that we have a brief introduction of the man of the hour, Professor Emmanuel Arhin, let us turn our attention to a brief summary of his presentation. The need for gold to underpin the gold quality of life for the still expanding population of planet Earth is causing more harm than good. But the associated challenges can be turned into opportunities if eco-friendly methods are used to get them from the ground. I'm sure you're all aware of the issues with small-scale mining, the pollution and all that, burning and all. But meanwhile, we need gold. Now we are talking of gold even for oil. So we still need gold. Gold is the most commercially exploited mineral in Ghana, accounting for about 95% of country's mineral revenue. The artisanal small-scale gold subsector produces over 1.3 billion worth of gold in 2022. That's about 1 ton. They employ over 1 million people in direct and indirect jobs. Banning the subsector completely will mean $1.3 billion budgeting deficit. In addition, over 1 million unemployed youth to Ghana's unemployment registry. The consequences of banning this subsector will be dire. But does that mean that the contribution of gold to the national gross domestic product should be maintained at the expense of the environment and the health of its population? Definitely no. Particularly in the areas where the metal has been found abundantly. Evidence of complete ban on this subsector was realized in 2019 because of the lack of artisanal small-scale gold mining operators' inability to get social alliances to work in the mine district. Again, the recent policy of the World Gold Council to ascertain the gold they buy responsibly mined and sourced suggests that the time will come they will be selective in buying gold. This means that for Ghana gold to be marketable in the future, the subsector needs to transition to green gold edition. That is, transit to environmentally friendly development, starting from proper geological investigation to metal extraction, devoid of banned chemicals, whilst respecting human and employee rights. Though our hope is, and with the advance in science and technology, we might ultimately develop a circular economy where all resources are recycled. But this seems a long way off and will need to continue to extract minerals for many years to come. To conform to the World Gold Council policy of responsible mining principle, then the only option is the artisanal small-scale gold mining needs to move to more sustainable, responsible, and eco-friendly operations by reducing air and water pollution, eliminating permanent scars on degradation of natural landscape, providing environmental justice to the ecosystems, and ensuring it earns the consent of the local and global community, the so-called social license to operate. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my happy pleasure to call on you to pay attention, observe, and learn as Professor Emmanuel Arhin takes the floor for his special moment. His topic, once again, is myths and realities of small-scale gold mining in Ghana, the green gold transition. Professor Emmanuel Arhin, we are all ears. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, Cultural Troop, for the short musical interlude. Prof Chair, the Vice Chancellor of the Great University, Uenr, Acting Provost, Nananum, and all invited guests, not leaving my colleagues and friends and families that are gathered here. I first want to thank everybody in this particular auditorium. It's not easy to call people during a weekday for them to stop whatever that they are doing to listen to you and come and listen to what you refer to as an inaugural lecture. Thank you all for coming. But I think the topic of the day is something that is so dear to the heart of everybody in Ghana. Oh. I want to use the projector, the projection, not the speech. Okay, those behind the machines, I am not here to read a speech. So if you can, let us have the PowerPoint presentation so that we can look at issues critically. So that by the time we leave this hall, we have answers to many questions that are bothering us. The topic, as the Prof Chair mentioned, is myth and realities of artisanal small gold mining in Ghana, the green transition. Like he asked, many of you are wondering what green gold is all about. The one regretting the PowerPoint, let's move on. I think I should have had the pointer to regret it myself. Yeah, before I move on, even though Prof Chair introduced me, but there is a brief introduction I want to make. Who is making this presentation in green gold? I am the Dean of School of Geoscience, who also doubles up as the Dean in charge of Doma Uenr campus. I'm making a presentation about some of my expertise in my professional and academic track. But I have some basic problem here because I wear a lot of caps. Mr. Chairman or Prof Chair, I teach mineral exploration. I seek justice for the ecosystem and also have special interest in how we'll be able to prevent diseases from spreading. In addition, I also factor into my field of expertise how we can add value to the physical resource base that we have in the country. Ghana, when we talk of minerals or things that can give us money, attention only goes to gold. But there are so many things around us that God has given to us to help us improve our local economies. Please, next slide. It's not going to flow. So interestingly, I have supervised students across many geoscience disciplines. So my dilemma today, Prof Chair, is hopefully clear to you. I am in a dilemma, not sure of which of the fields that I need to talk about. But looking at my professorial title as an applied geology, I think I have an idea. Can we go to the next slide? Small-scale mining contributes 40% of Ghana's gold produce. Let us address it tactfully. These are not my words. The sector minister said so. Small-scale mining contributes 40% of gold produced in the country. So, the call to ban it probably might not be the solution. Even though what we are seeing in the field, they are not welcome. But let's try to address this tactfully. This was captured by one of our media people called Pa Kwesi Shandov on 17th September 2022. So when I read this, I realized it is time for us to look at this problem carefully so that we'll be able to address it once and for all. He further moved on by saying that the small scale, by statistics, that is the data that they have, contribute 40% of global local gold produce. Here the word that we have to underline is what? Local. That is gold that we produce here. In view of this, he admonished that even though illegal mining, in bracket galamsey, has unfortunately crept in the small-scale mining sector, in this spirit of his, he tried to define, or he tried to distinguish between small-scale and then what? The galamsey. Here, the reference is the galamsey are the illicit miners, but not the small scale. And as we go on, we will get to understand it. So, efforts to eliminate galamsey. Effort to eliminate galamsey must be looked at carefully, because if we do so, the 40% contributions from this group, we are going to what? Lose it. Next slide. So, Prof. Chairman, Nananum colleagues, the world might ultimately develop a circular economy one day, where all resources will be recycled. Even though I'm making this statement today, but it is something that we have witnessed going on, except that we have not taken notice of. I remember when I was a child, there were times that people come to our communities and ask whether we have old jewels that we want to sell. Locally, sometimes they ask for yawa. None of them are aware of that. What do they need those things for? Even though we were not talking about recycling, but they were buying those things to go and recycle to extract the gold that were in them. One fortunate thing that I want to say is that Uenr, this particular university, is developing a program called urban mining, which will be looking at this situation. So the question is, a time will come that we will not go and dig holes to look for gold. All the gold that you have in your wardrobe, that you don't need them, will be bought and then reprocessed. And because of the quantities that we have, we will not need to go and dig for gold. That recycled one will be enough, but we are not there yet. Meaning that we will continue to mine for gold, but not the way we are saying it now. How can we make it better? That is what this particular topic is going to look at. So, invited guests, I think Ghana needs this green gold transition more than any other country in the world, because if we don't go through that, then there is no way we will get the social license to operate. And if we don't have that social license to operate, then there is no way we will be able to get that 40% gold produced from this means to support the economy of Ghana. I know many of you have heard about gold and then the gold mining. If you've not heard anything, you've heard about say no to galamsey. This statement came because of the way people saw how the operators were degrading what? Our land. But I want to take you through some memory lane, a bit of history, so that we'll be able to position ourselves well and know where we went wrong and where we are doing well. So that when the concept of green gold comes in, we will know that this time we have gotten the key and that we'll be able to move in the right direction, whereby people will not say, don't come here, we don't need you here. But rather, these miners will be welcome because they will be doing the right thing. Brief history of gold mining in Ghana. The major minerals mined in Ghana are gold, diamonds, manganese, and bauxite. But I think maybe we will have to cross out diamond. So these days we are not mining diamond in Ghana. The question is, have we exhausted it? Or the geologists have gone to sleep and they are not looking for the source of what? The diamonds. Gold is the predominant mineral that we mine. And it accounts for over 90% of all minerals annually over the past 2 decades. Large-scale mining and mining support services subsector employs about 27,000. So if we say, let's ban the artisanal small-scale mining, this is the people that we have in the industry. The source of this information is from Minerals Commission. Can we move to the next slide? This is what we have for the artisanal small-scale mining sector. We all know that it has grown. And that it has grown in size and significance. When I say significance here, I meant the amount of money that it contributes to what? To GDP. We know that they are the major wealth creation, employment, and the economy make it one of the nation's important livelihood activities. I think the politicians will bear me out when I say this. During the last election year, when the government began talking to the small-scale people and the so-called illicit miners, telling them that they should stop their operations, we can pick the Electoral Commission's election results, and the results that we will have there will tell us. Some parties lost miserably because they made an attempt to take away their livelihood. So we cannot do away with them. And as we go on, we will see why. They gave employment to over 1 million people. And other people that are not within the direct employment, there too we can approximate about 4.5 million more. But even I think this is not right. As we go along, maybe you will agree with me that the number is more than what? The 4.5 million. In 2006, there were 2 authors, Helsen and Paddy, referred to this small-scale operation as what? Low-tech, labor-intensive mineral processing and extraction industry. That was in 2006. But this story changed when we went to what? 2011. It ceased to be labor-intensive and low-tech. But I want us to look at this particular slide again. Remind ourselves or try to recall the statement that the sector minister said. That is recent, September. Hope we'll remember the message from the sector minister. Let's vote. Thoughtfully look at this so that we don't lose the proceeds from this particular sector. Now, looking at this slide, I have an equation there. Total ban on galamsey is equal to what? Increase in unemployment. Do we agree to that? You see, even though it's an inaugural lecture, but sometimes I'll have to ask a question so that those who want to sleep will rather react to respond to the question, and then we'll all enjoy the lecture. So, if we decide, please go back. If we ban or we say no to galamsey, this is what we will have. All the people there are queuing for what? For job. Unemployment. And now Ghana is seriously talking about this particular situation. It is not good for anybody. So, if this sector employs a lot of people, and there are certain things that they are doing which we are not happy about, what do we have to do? We need to look at the challenge and see if we can create opportunities out of it. Let's go to the next slide. Again, do we want to lose the 40% contribution from this sector? If that is what we want, then we are what? Gearing for what? Economic what? Collapse. What are we seeing in the country now? Even though there is not a complete ban, we are still having the contributions from what? From this sector. And yet, our economy is what? Is struggling. There is so much that this sector contributed to the national GDP. I just want to talk about what we had this year. In 2022, that is just last year, the small-scale mining, ASGM, contributed $1.3 billion to Ghana's what? GDP. How much are we looking for from IMF? $3 billion. And we want to lose this $1.3 billion. That is why I made the topic, myth or reality. I believe any positive thinking man that wants to see Ghana becoming the Gold Coast that we knew will be realistic that we can cause a change. And we are the change makers. About 2 weeks ago, the sector minister again reported about the amount of gold that the country had. But this one is not only from the small scale people, but it's from the entire mining sector. And that was $6.6 billion US dollars. What this tells us is that, can we go to the next slide? What it tells us is that if we are able to change the narrative, if we are able to guide the small-scale people to mine and mine responsibly, so that other areas that it said no go for them, they can go and take it, Ghana will have more gold, and the outlook on our economic front will look at like what we have there. Let's move forward. Prof Chair, I found something strange that it has escaped all of us. We've not talked about them. The strange thing is there is no exact definition for ASGM in Ghana. The term is used almost exclusively to refer to the license operations based on the concession size, not exceeding 25 acres. Along with several other pre-qualifications. So if a license is given to you and the size is 25 acres, then you can go and mine. That is what the Act says. The other pre-qualifications that it asks to it is that the person must be what? A citizen of what? Of Ghana. And must be not, it must be beyond what? 18 years. This is what we have in the Act. Act 703. If that is it, then let's look at this. The picture to the left, he has 25-acre plot of land, which he is mining. And here he is using what? Basic tools, pickaxes and shovels. The law states that such people can use 5 years to mine that 25-acre plot of land. What do you think will be the impact if we are using pickaxes and shovels to mine 25-acre plot of land? That will be negligible. The impact will not be seen by anybody. But what do we see now? Same 25 acres. We are not using the rudimentary tools. We are not using the pickaxes. We are using machines like this. The law had not changed. Still 25 acres. Mine it for 5 years. When the law was promulgated in 1989, we said use these basic tools. But after 2011, we are using this and we have the same law. So what do you think will be the situation in the field? This is where the problem started. Instead of reviewing the law as the mining method changes, either it didn't occur to us. So, 25 acres, he has an excavator. The mine department in Minerals Commission knows that he's going to mine for 5 years. So they will have timetable to visit them. But they are using this, which they will use what? 2 weeks. Do you think they will meet them when they go there to do inspection? By the time they get there, the people had finished mining and gone. And the basic things that they've been asked to do, that after mining, reclaim the land. You go there, there is nobody. Whom do you bring? So the fundamental problem that we have with the so-called small scale and the galamsey, let me put them together in this particular context. It's not just that they are not doing the geological investigation, but the country had failed to look at the law that established it. If we don't go back to basics, no matter what we will do, we will not be able to cause any change. And you remember, this thing started 2017, when Say No to Galamsey came. We are in 2023. Have we seen any change? Because we had failed to see where the problem started. Others that we are so much keen about are secondary. If we don't get the primary problem addressed, there is no way we'll be able to turn things around. So, I think what we need now is the green gold transition. So, let's begin this with a question. Forgive me, Prof. Chair. If this one, I have to demand an answer from our honorable invited guests and colleagues here, including my family. What is the most frequently asked question about why gold is mined and useful? Can somebody give me an answer? Yep. Oh, so you don't want to help me deal with this situation? What do we use gold for? Let's take the mine out. What do we use gold for? Yes. Do we have only one?
As a store of wealth.
As what?
A store of wealth.
A store of wealth. That is his answer. Do you agree with him? Are you sure? No. Prof. Abrante, do you agree with him? You beg to differ, I think. Oh, you don't beg to differ. Okay. You've all provided one answer. So there is no other person in this room that thinks otherwise, yeah? do you mean by ornament? Make it simple. You are on the right path. Jewel. But the jewel is too big. Just wedding ring. That is all that we mine the gold for. Or you don't agree with me? Go to the next slide. Globally, if you ask this question, the answer is that. Just jewel. No, Beboa. I think it is now that Ghana is trying to bring in something else that they call what? Gold for what? For oil, but we've not seen the outcome, so we cannot include it in this slide. The most accepted answer globally to the question is gold is mined and used to make what? Wedding rings. So if you are wearing one, look at your finger. The distractions in the environment is just because of this. Can we go to the next slide? How do we get it out from the ground? This is done in a stepwise manner. The one that we call alluvials, this is how they do it. You see some guys digging everywhere looking for what? For gold. Okay? And sometimes they get some. Other times, zero. And they get angry. So when they dig this one, stage one is digging. The second one is they have to put the trash somewhere. What they call the waste. Okay? And this waste contains some minerals that are poisonous. Some minerals that in the knowledge of God knew that they can only stay at a particular depth in the earth system. But when we take up the materials on top of them, they become what? Unstable. And they have to transform, change, and then migrate into what? Our water bodies. Not only the water bodies, into the soils. Your cassava, your plantain, all the food that you eat comes from there. Then you are saved. You pay so much for it. You eat it. And then you have serious health issues. From this. We need the gold. I'm the first person who will support that this industry stays and stays alive. But we must do the right thing. The next stage. So they dig, they throw the waste off. Now they have the gold. But the gold will be in the midst of other elements. Therefore, to get the gold out, they have to apply what they call what? Mercury. So they do what we call amalgamation process. So that mercury get attached or attract the gold, and then for the miners or the operators to get the rare gold, they have to apply what? Sometimes they apply heat, sometimes they apply what? Acid. So if you're going to use heat, the mercury that you use to collect the gold, digest the gold, form the amalgam, the heat is going to what? Release it, it gets into the atmosphere. The most poisonous part of the mercury is when it becomes gaseous. And I don't know whether any of us have been able to target air from here and decided to catch it at the end of this room. There is no way. So, if they are mining and they are doing the extraction here, and your village is about 2 kilometers away, you are not spared of what they are doing. But why are they doing this? After heating or acidifying the amalgam, this is what they have. the gold, the nuggets. They become so happy. And then the goldsmith will take it and make this ring. What is the price of this ring over there? 2,300 and what? 86. The cost probably in getting these nuggets here might be maybe 1/4 of the price. But the jewel company or the industries, when they are selling this, they always forget to factor in the distractions in the field. So go to the next slide, and then we look at, this is the hard rock ones. There are two forms of getting the gold out from the ground. We have the alluvial and we have the hard rock. And in all situations, they go through similar processes with slight changes. Here, the hard rock, the gold is embedded in the rock. So what they do is they crush it, and then, because they are not free like the alluvials, they don't use the mercury, but they use what? Cyanide to digest the gold in the rock. Okay? And then from there, what they do is during the extraction, they do smelting like the alluvials do to get what? The final gold. So you realize that both cases, the processes are what? Are the same. And all of them are looking at getting what? Our wedding ring for us at a price. When you go to the jewelry shop, the prices are not the same. 18 karat is that. Maybe if you cannot afford 18, you go for something lower. Next slide. Prof chair and invited guest. This is what the process leave for us. Gold mining leave craters large enough to be visible from what? From space. And I'm sure the awareness that we've had in Ghana recently tell the story. Next slide. So, when these craters are made, and then the wastes are pushed aside, I mentioned earlier that there are some toxic elements that are in the waste. So when exposed to water, to air, they get into our water body. And then the acidity of those water, those of you who are conversant with car batteries, if the water in car battery touches you, the experience that you get is what exactly some of this water turns out to be. All the time when we're complaining about the operations of these small-scale people, our emphasis had been on how they have polluted the water, how the water had become discolored. If I have to open your eye on this, you'll be scared. But I think we will leave that one for another time. So these craters waste rock containing toxic metals from combined sources of nature and anthropogenic turn water to be more acidic than the car batteries that we have here. I am not talking about other elements that will become exposed to as they get into the water and into the soils. And it gave us, if I have to ask in this room, how many people have diabetes? I'm sure we'll get about 30% of us having it. BP. Many of you will testify that it has increased. These had been diseases for the old and for the rich. But now people at the age of 10 are having it. These are due to some of these changes that are going on. So, going into memory lane, gold extraction process explained. I think we can skip this one. This is a bit technical. Let's go into the next slide. Prof chair. Once a piece of jewel is made, it is sold at almost 4 times the cost of what? Of production. Without accounting for the damage to the landscape and what? The ecosystem. I think the blame game of always pushing it to the Galamsey people, the illicit miners must go beyond this. I think the people that are compelling them to do more are the people in the jewel industry. So they too must be blamed. I spoke about the underestimation of the people that the sector employ. That one excludes those that the jewel industry are contributing. So we need to stop the brain game. It involves a lot of people. We cannot allow unemployment to be so large and huge that Ghana will be in serious trouble. So let's look for the solution. Next slide. I think Prof. Chair, Nananom, all invited guests and colleagues, we need the goal for national development. And I think we need it more than ever, looking at our current conditions. But it should not be at the expense of the environment. Neither should it be at the expense of our health. This is the proposition. At Uenr, Doma campus, we have devised standard operation procedures and have been part of an exciting breakthrough technology using SEYCHEM, an eco-friendly chemical that has the potential to revolutionize the processing of mineral ores to metals in a green and environmentally friendly way. We have the potential to replace the use of cyanide in the industrial gold extraction and then the uncontrolled use of mercury by artisanal and small-scale gold miners, one of the biggest sources of mercury contamination on the planet. We are open that we share what we have found, what we think is the solution to Ghanaian problem. So we're now going to get more technical, but it's been arranged in such a way that everybody here will understand what I am talking about. Next slide. This forms part of the green gold transition. Those of you who want to know more, I have given these articles that I have been part to publish. And then the fourth one on this particular chemical, we have a group in Burkina Faso that did their independent investigation. And as we are talking now, they are in our midst here. The Ministry of Mines and Quarry, Burkina Faso, had sent some people to join us today in this inaugural. If, Prof. Chair, you will allow me, I will let them get up, then we'll give them a hand of applause, because they want to be part of the change makers. They came all the way because they know Uenr has a solution to their problem. And therefore, they want to be here today, listen, and then after that, we plan the way forward, getting the solutions to this mess in the small artisanal. Prof. Chair, when he was introducing the topic, mentioned green gold. The very day this topic came out, I had a lot of calls from a lot of people. And some of the questions that they were asking me, Ima,
What do you mean by green gold? I'm sure you've asked yourself this question several times. Green gold that we're talking about is not gold that has what? A green color. If we actually want to have gold that has green color, we'll just go to Prof. Marfo and say, what percentage of silver do we have to add to the normal gold that we have, so that at the end of it, instead of we having what? The golden yellow this thing, we can have what? The green gold. They can do it, the chemist. Right? But this is not what we are talking about. Next slide. So what do we mean by green gold? Green gold, as defined by World Gold Council, is these things that I have listed down. Where gold mining will not bring about, one, hardship in local communities through pollution of what? Of water and air. What do we say in Ghana? The color of offering, the color of pra. And then when you get to the mining communities, you want to run instead of walking to your destination because of the dust in the atmosphere. So that one alone, we are going to fail. The second one is loss of grazing and agricultural land. I think I don't have to talk too much about this, because our forestry natural resources people will begin to talk about hectares that these sort of activities had done to our agricultural land. Results in the creation of unprotected mining pits. I mentioned that in space you can see some of the holes. The number of people that had lost their life by falling into these pits is uncountable. Destruction and depletion of forest lands, as well as forced eviction and relocation of communities without fair compensation. These are the things that we see. And World Gold Council is working on a law whereby a time will come, if they track the gold that you are producing and you have any of these as an issue, they will not buy what? Your gold. It has happened to us in Ghana here once. 2019, Bank of Ghana sent some gold to Switzerland. You know what happened? They refused to buy it. And what they said at that time wasn't any of these. But they said, we are using children in our mine environment. If you go to Congo now, they have a lot of gold bank, but they are not getting what? Buyers, because of the conflict there. Do we also want to be tagged this way? I think we must protect our 1.3 billion US dollars, which I believe we cannot even increase it. 2022, most of them were not working, but we had 1.3 billion. So if we allow them, they have the social license to operate in all the mine districts, we'll be able to get more money to support the national GDP. So, World Gold Council is not looking at this. They don't approve of any of these. Can we move on to the next slide? So, green gold in this context is simply how to get gold out of the ground in a green or eco-friendly and sustainable way. And these are the objectives for the green gold transition. To guide the small-scale miners to mine responsibly in order to leave positive legacy for future generations. The second one is to safeguard the environmental integrity of the ecosystem so as to obtain social licenses to operate without conflict in all mine districts. And the last one is never to visit that period of no to Galamsey again in the history of what? Of the subworld sector. Because if we visit that era again, we are going to lose money and we are going to increase what? Unemployment. Ghana is not ready for that. So, today's talk begins with types of people, not the psychologist one. But if you ask a psychologist to talk about types of people, they will come out with about 5 types of people based on what? On their character. Here, the type of people I'm referring to here is about those who think the artisanal small-scale mining activities, we cannot go green, the myth. And those who are very old, realistic, and think that doing what is right, following Uenr's standard operation procedure, will be able to what? To have green gold. So let's see what we have there, what the procedure talks about. Next slide. Alluvial gold exploration, the basis. This is what we think. And this is the guidelines. And this is the procedure. It's been tried and tested elsewhere. The gold is found in what we call oleiferious gravels. It's not all gravels that you can get the gold from. So, for you to know that there is a gold here, you need to identify that type of gravel. And we have a way to identify those things. It's not by magic. I've been to the field. I've spoken to many of these people that are doing small scale and the galamsey. And sometimes they tell stories and then you have to laugh it out. Because they think that they can go to a juju man and then the gold will come. It's not true. There is a way. Okay? Explore using what? Geological methods. That is why we are training a lot of geologists, but they don't want to use them. No. What do you often say? You say shortcuts are always what? Dangerous. Prof, why are we graduating so many people to solve these fundamental problems, but yet they don't want to use them? I think we have some work to do. We need to convey, go to them, knock at their doors, and tell them that we have this. But we need support from the policymakers. Otherwise, it will continue to stay in our offices, at our libraries. So these geological methods must be carried out systematically. And this is the format. If you go to school, class 1, and we do exams, and then you fail class 1, there is no way you can go to class 2. But unfortunately, the people in this particular business don't do that. When they fail class 1, they still want to be promoted to class 2 and class 3. So what they do is they do try and error mining. They dig here. If they don't find it, they go there. If they don't, they go there. And then when they realize that they are not going to find anything, they turn left, right. This ship, they run away. Okay? But there is a way to do it. And the first one is, we say, do scout prospecting. If there is a war and our army will have to go to war, they don't just move battalions in there. They send people to go and scout around, bring them information, and on the basis of that information, they strategize and go to the war and win. Step number 2, if step 1 works well, we do what we call initial systematic exploration, followed by detailed. And when all the first 3 work well, then you can sit back and evaluate what you have there. This is the location of the auriferous gravels. This is the contained gold. This is how I can mine it. It will take this number of years to do that. Therefore, if I mine this, I'll put this money aside, and in the process of mining, this is how I'm going to reclaim the land. Perfect. Okay? Areas that have not been areas that don't have that gold mineralization, you are not going to tamper with. So you are going to preserve that environment. Where the gold is, and we are going to mine them out. After mining, you conserve that. You leave it for something else to be done. This is the protocol we want to offer people. And I think I have some few slides to share with you. But because of time, okay, I know some people will want to go back. Because of time, I will not stay on a slide for long. I believe at the end of this engagement, we may have opportunities to meet people so that we provide what we have to the industry, and then we move on from there. So this is the scout work. For the alluvials, or even hard rock, we know that streams take their source from the hills. So if there should be a goat, it should be maybe from one of the hills. The stream will be draining down. There might be tributaries. So the simplest approach is take your samples at certain point where the velocity of the stream slows down. Over there where it slows down, there's going to be what? The position of materials. If there is gold, you will find it there. Where the streams, 2 streams meet, as this one is coming and this one is coming, they are coming with different velocities. At the point of their intersection, there's going to be some kind of eddies. So materials will drop there. Target those areas. If you find gold there, it will tell you where it is coming from. It's easy. It's simple. But they don't want to do it. So this whole area, based on my planning, I collected only 12 points. That should tell me the 25-acre plot that has been given to me. If the gold is there, this should tell me. If I should continue to work there, I should know. If I should take my monies away, I should know. Can we move to the next slide? Okay, so move on to I'm talking more than the slide. I think I'm moving faster than the one punching. Yeah, go to the next. Yeah, so after the scouting, the 12 points, I know that this stream, the pointer should be here. This stream, there is gold based on the gold count I had from that sample. So what I have to do is to set up what? Or lay out what? A grid system across the areas that I think there is a potential for gold. So you see that I have what? Drawn some lines near perpendicular to the streams. And then we'll dig pits. Alluvia, you can't do chemical analysis on the sample. So what you do is you dig pits. Maybe every 100 meters along a line, you dig a pit. And the pit will help you to know how deep the gravels are in that area. That is one. The thickness of the gravel. The characteristics of the gravel. So when you do all these, the next is to find out whether the gravel contains gold or not. And this you need to do it what? Systematically. Next slide. So this is a sample of the pit that has been dug. And then we sample 0.5 of a meter from what? The gravel layer. In some pits, you can have about 2 meters of gravel. But in some pits, you have about 0.3. It doesn't matter. We have standardized it. Every 0.5 of a meter within the gravel section, let's see the amount of gold there. If there is no gold, it's a good information. If there is gold, it's a good information. Because at the end of it, you will use money to do the work. Okay, the next slide. One challenge that geologists have in doing this work is that when you are having pits in a matured stream catchment, maybe along Ofin, along Pra, along Ankobra, these are ancient streams that are matured. So often the pit depths are very deep. And as you dig deeper, you will tend to come across the groundwater. So the groundwater may rush into your pits, and then it will force the pit walls to collapse. When it collapses, you will not be able to do proper evaluation. So what we have done here is, if you come across such a problem, what you do is you use timbers to support that pit. Our design here doesn't use a nail. We have a way of using this, and you can use this one to go to a pit up to about 40 feet. And it will not collapse. It will be strong, and you'll be able to collect all the samples that you need. Okay, next slide. Yeah, so after the pitting, the next step is the gravel washing. You want to know the gold content. So we have a way of doing it. Yesterday, when we were students and we were doing this, we were using this method, which we call the traditional Swiss box. Fortunately, today they have a machine that they call prospector. It does the same thing, but that one is mechanized and you can regrade it. Okay? So at the end of this, next slide, they are able to know the amount of gold that they have in each horizon of the layer that they sample. But there's something here that I want you to look at. At the right side, I have what? The total section, and then to the left we have what? The gravel section. What the small scale people do is that if they would do some kind of prospecting, they only look into the gravel section to know the amount of gold in there, and then satisfy themselves that, oh, we have this amount, so we can go in. Forgetting about the total section, because when you are going to mine, you're going to excavate the overburden. So you need to factor that one also in your calculation. I think I have some few examples in there which I will show you. So the decision to mine or not to mine depends on how well these calculations are done. Next slide. So that is the standard operation procedure that we have developed and we want people to follow. The next slide that follows are examples of what has been done. So I have a story at a small-scale mining site in Ashanti region, and this was a due diligence work that I did for them. It was 8 contiguous concessions that were together, and it was carried out at Achimamponia district. So we have 4 concessions at Adumasa area, and there was one at Ampekrum area. The Ampekrum one were along Ofin River, but the Adumasa one were other streams that has no names. Okay, next slide. So these are the locations of the concessions. Next slide. This is how the pits are done. 1 meter by 1 meter, and you must make sure that that dimension goes through consistently up to the bedrock. Okay. So, in this pit, this information were gathered. Overburden and gravel thickness. Because this information will help you to calculate what we call stripping ratio. When we talk of stripping ratio, it means a lot of money. You know, if you are going to excavate maybe 2 meters of overburden and then 0.5 of a gravel, you will see that you spend more money getting the overburden. So if the grade in the gravel cannot pay for that, then you don't go into that sort of business. But unfortunately, the people in the business don't do that. Again, we also report or record the characteristics of the gravel. Some of them may be clayey, some will be sandy, and these things have impact when it comes to the time of what? Of washing or using a treatment plant to wash them. Sometimes they say, we saw a lot of gold, but at the end of it, when we sent it to the plant, we didn't get the gold that we expected. They never take into consideration the characteristics of the gravel, which the geologist is the one who had been taught to guide you to do the right thing, but it's missing. Then we also do what we call volume measurement. I cannot read it. Okay, sorry. The next one is the volume measurement. Here we construct a box of size 0.1 cubic meter, so that when you dig the gravel from the pit and you put them at the pit collar, you should be able to what? To measure the volume of the loose material. Because what you will send to the plant for washing, you cannot use the in-situ volume to do the calculation, because it's a loose gravel that you are taking to the plant. So you must have an idea what the volume corresponds to the in-situ measurement. So when you do this sort of exercise, there you can calculate what we call what? Swell factor. So the geologist will give you his information and say that the grade is so much. When it gets to the plant people also will measure their head grade. There should be what? A good reconciliation. So the geologist should have information on the loose volume, so that when the plant people do their measurement with that, you have your counter response to that. And those people that have opportunity to work in the mine, there is always this fight between the mining engineers and then the mine geologists. Problem of what? Reconciliation. We have it covered here in Uenr. We will take you through the basis. We will teach you. You will become the good mineral exploration geologist that you want to be. Can we go to the next? I want to finish it within some time. And unfortunately, the organizers didn't give me water. Oh, this was mine. Actually, help me.
we were able to work out the average. 1 meter of overburden where there is no gold. Okay? Matches of what? 1 meter of gravel that we had gold. Okay? So, the comparison, I'll do it later. So this area is an easy environment that the small-scale people will want to work. They have a name for it. Because it's easy, you don't dig so much, you just get to the ore, you wash it quickly, their system is run away. You don't stay there. Okay? So 1:1 is not bad. Let's see the next slide. And we did some analysis of the gold in the environment. So this is just a summary statistics that we prayed with the gold results that we had. Okay, some of the pits, there were no gold at all, 0. But the maximum that we had was 0.1 gram. It's very small. If I gave it to you, you will not even thank me. But if we weigh it with the thickness, the volumes, it turns out to give a grade that investors will be interested to go in there for. And then the average of gold in there, in the gravel section, it was 0.17. I want you to look at this carefully. The gravel section was 0.17. In the total section grade, where we included the overburden, it was what? 0.02. So if you come to me for an advice with this grade, I will tell you not to waste your money out there. But the unfortunate thing is the concessions given to these people, when you ask them, they say it was given to them by Minerals Commission. If there is no gold there, they wouldn't have given the area to them. So no matter what advisor you will give to them, they will go ahead to do their try and error. I'm trying to explain to you why the mess in the field. But I think, even though the size is small, 25 acres, they should do geological investigation. Our friends from Burkina, when I met them there before and was making a presentation to them, they said they came to Ghana. The laws that they have there, they borrowed it from what? From Ghana. But they need monies from gold. You are only giving 25 acres for a person. We will not do that. They multiply it by 10. So 25 acres became what? 250 acres, which is equivalent to 1 square meter. 1 square meter, the people can do geological investigation to know where the gold is. And one thing they beat us to again is how much gold are we going to get if we use pickers and other things? We will call ours semi-mechanized. And if we're going to do semi-mechanized, then it will be good for you to do geological investigation, to know exactly where the gold is so that you don't degrade the areas that you don't have gold. Animals, thank you so for advancing what you took from us. And you are here today, again, to take away from us. But this one, I think you need to pay. Okay. So, our time, we didn't have GIS, so you wouldn't have seen this way. But in today's, you call it the IT word, they can bring everything and they can see the picture. These are the 4 concessions at Adumasan area. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. If you have money to invest in any of these concessions, which area will you choose? The top one is 1. The second is what? Which one will you choose? The red shows that there is more gold. Maybe I should have explained the keys there. Okay? So which one will you choose? The second one. But the first one is a concession for somebody. But there is no gold there after the geological investigation. Why should the person waste money there? Why we need to do the geological studies. And we need people that have been taught and can analyze issues for you. Okay? So here, maybe number 2, I'll go for it. But I'll still have to do what? Further work. Number 3, it's not bad. There is something there. So more work has to be done there. But 1 and 4, I'll give them back to what? Minerals Commission. You don't have to waste your money there. Can we move to the next one? Yeah. This one is the Ampicrom area. Oh, I forgot. The gold from the area was there. Go back. Yeah, you see up there, where the brown thing is. You can see some yellowish stuff over there. Those were the gold that we found in that pit. Okay? They are big. Okay? And they are angular. What it tells us is that it hasn't moved far from source. And then when you go beyond that area, you see a lot of ancient pits. Now, none of them, they were great. I don't know where they learned their geology from. Okay? So now let's move on to the other one. Okay? So you can compare gold from Arhin to the other streams. Arhin is a mature stream. The gravels have been what? Been moving. So there is a lot of what? Rework. The gold there is very fine, looks so polished, highness, but very fine. It tells you that it's coming from what? Far away what? Distance. If you don't take geologists to do this interpretation for you, how will you find the best gold for your investment? Even in the extraction, the characteristics of gold dictates the method that you should use to extract the gold. Prof, I don't want to talk too much about this. Otherwise, we'll spend the rest of the day. But there is something else I want us to look at which is critical. So let's move on to the next slide. So there are some critical points here that we should know, and I've already explained them in my talking. So let's go to the next slide. Professional geologists believe in a particular principle. And that principle came from a Swiss geologist called SEYCHEM. And then he called that principle the principle of uniformitarianism. The present is the key to the future. The present is the key to the future. I want us to look at something quick. We have the large-scale mining companies, and we have the small-scale mining companies. Have we ever had problems with the large-scale mining companies? So if we look at their present condition, it tells us that they are doing something good. What about the small-scale mining companies? Complete mess. What we see now tells us that they are not doing something right. And the right thing is what we have started talking about, the standard operation procedures. So, if the large-scale people are doing something right, then why don't we go back and learn from them? One simple question I want to ask. What is the difference between a large scale and a small scale?
Okay, thank you, Prof. Yeah, the major difference is the line size. As you said, they have large concession. The second one is the sort of equipment that they use. It's above the large scale. Maybe I have a large scale, small scale industrial. And the last but important is they are regulated, but the small scale ones are not regulated.
Thank you very much. I only wanted one, but he said all. So maybe I should prepare to bring the talk to a close. The difference between them is just what? The size. So if it's the size and they do the same thing, then why don't we mimic what they are doing? So let's go to the next slide. Power is gone off. So, the small scale must do what the large scale people are doing. Do we agree to that? What are they doing? That they have the social license to operate. And the small scales don't have the social license to operate. And to begin with, they must carry out exploration survey to define and outline the potential zones of mineralization. They should stop the wild goose chase. Number 2, apply for mining lease for the prospective area through Minerals Commission. I think the idea of the commission giving them restricted mining for nothing known about them should be a thing of the past. So, we need to revisit the legal framework. I think it will help us. Okay, so the third one is they should only begin to mine after they know where the deposits are and when they have been granted the license to mine. Okay, these things they are not doing. And I pray that at the end of this lecture, the message will get to them, and then they will begin to review it. The geological investigation one, they should leave us to do. But the legal aspect, I don't think we have the locals to do that, but we are telling them that that is where the fundamental problem begins. The next slide. So we can view them in two folds. I think I've spoken about them, the environment and then the economic distance. So can we move to the next slide? Now, there is this assertion in Ghana that there is gold everywhere. Do you also believe in that? About a month ago, I heard people trying to look for gold concession around Mampong area. And the rocks there are voted. They came after God had already distributed the gold on the earth. So, how can you find gold there? I wasn't happy, so I quickly called Minerals Commission to check whether there was something like that. And their answer was, they are sending the Kumasi team to go and check. I've not received it yet. Minerals Commission, do we have rep here? I was told that the one at Kenyasi will come. Okay, so these are the basic problem. But from the earlier slides that we look at, we realize that even though they were given the concessions, but it wasn't everywhere that they can find what? The gold. So the assertion that there is gold everywhere is a fiasco. I hope you agree to that. All right. So, gold exploration is very, very important. I was expecting a historian friend to come today. So I put in whether we have a historian here. Unfortunately, he couldn't come. But maybe there might be some historian here that I don't know. I believe we remember 3 years ago. Prof, it happened around your catchment area. It was a war between Ashantis and what? And Dentress. In the 18th century, 17 something. When Intim Jekari, the then Dentrahin, was coming, he got to an area. And then the vegetation that he saw there, he realized that that vegetation resembles some vegetation in Dentral land where they've been mining gold. So he stopped his people. Let's rest here. We will continue. They did some small exploration there, got the gold that they needed to get, and then continued. Unfortunately, they lost that war. The point I want to make here is, at that time, 18th century, Dentrahene Intim Jekari knows that if you are looking for gold, there are certain things that you need to look at. He did an exploration, confirmed, and then he got his gold. Why are we not doing that? The strange thing that I have found recently, that Nananom were great scientists. And what he demonstrated there now is something that we have found and are currently researching into. The next slide. One of my published work talks about gold in trees. Gold in trees. When I was thinking about that and was working, I thought I was the first to come, not knowing Intim Jekari had already used that synopsis. You can see that gold there. Some trees can penetrate up to a depth of what? 50 meters. The trees don't need gold for their food. Okay? But the roots take up the gold in solution. And as it gets up, what the tree needs is what it needs for its food. So what it doesn't need, it expels it to the back of the trees. Some goes to the twigs. So I said to myself, I got you. Now that the landscape is changed so much, and it's not all companies that will be able to pay for drilling, we can use trees to locate where the gold are. And I've used it. I'll show you the examples. How these trees have been able to tell us that the gold is here. You don't destroy the land. We must be thinking about a green way of getting the gold out from the ground. The Lord God had given it to us. It's up to us to find it and use it. The other one is the termite. That one I used it when I was with Niemont. And it became my name in the mine. Mr. Anthill. But at the end, when the results came, the name disappeared. Because somebody had to take the credit. At Niemont, Kenyasi, they have two pits. We had Kenyasi Central and Kenyasi West. They were two small pits. In between the two, they couldn't find the gold. So I seek permission from my boss to carry out this survey. That was 2006. And when the results came from the termite samples, we realized that it has moved about 200 meters from its own source. So quickly, the mine geologists planned more drill holes And that is what they have there now, can I say, as a single big pit. So, we at Uenr think that we need to think outside what? The box. Science is all about observation and what? Experimentation. Can we move on? Yeah. So these are the two areas. The left one was a concession at Tepa, Pelengio concession. And that is the results that the samples from the tree gave to us. The first one. Below is when they drill. They found the gold right under. The one that we have at the right, the extreme right. Do we have goldstone representatives here? Oh, you are here. Okay. That was on their concession. And I did this work with my undergraduate students. They were free. And it defined where the gold is on their concession. This was what Intim Jakari in 18th century taught us. Ours is to refine it and use it for greater things. So, the green gold transition requires us doing something different that will not allow us to destroy our lands, but get our gold to support the country's GDP. Next slide. Yeah. So, if you want to read more on this, I have these 4 publications that will help you to get the in and out of how this can be done. You can also do it elsewhere. Next slide. So, I think I will do great injustice to the sector at this stage if I don't talk about the chemicals that we use in our gold extraction. We've all heard about mercury. Ghana recently ratified the Minamata Convention, the use of mercury in our mines. But it will be very difficult for us to tell the miners not to use. To use what? We have a solution for them. So, green gold transition means green gold mining or eco-friendly mining that seeks justice to the environment and what? Our health. So if we continue to use mercury, use cyanide, the chances that we'll be hurting ourselves will be so much. Joy News writer Kwame Boateng did some work in Western region and reported that renal diseases are so high in the mine district and was trying to attribute it to the mining companies. He may be right, he may be wrong, depending, because the natural environment itself releases certain elements. It's not only mercury, it's not only cyanide, but those that we are intentionally using them and they are killing us, we need to have a way out. Next slide. So, this is the SEYCHEM that I am talking about. And the work here was initiated by the chemist. But maybe I will use a simple example. We know Coca-Cola. We all enjoy Coca-Cola. But now, there are some people in this room, when you give them Coca-Cola, will go back. Why? Can you tell me why? The sugar. So, the company decided to bring in another Coca-Cola with the same taste, same color. And they called it what? Coke Light. Do you know what they did? Maybe if you see this man, he will tell you. Just simple change the molecular structure. Okay? Nothing will change. You've just changed the form, and then you get what you want. So, these elements that we have here are part of what? The cyano group, the cyanide. The only thing that they did here is to change the molecular structure. The sodium cyanide that Prof mentioned when he was introducing me, the bonding is ionic bonding. And that is why the toxic levels of that one is so unbearable. But it's able to extract the gold for us, which we are happy. So what these people did was, instead of making use of the ionic bonding, they made it what? Covalent bonding. And instead of having the cyanide, they had what they called carbon nitride. The chemical formula is the same, Cn. And it's able to extract gold. Okay, so when I was called into this sort of study, I set, next slide, I set an objective for myself. That, are you sure this powder that we have here will be able to extract gold? Okay, if that is so, let me test it in some areas in Ghana. So I picked 2 areas. One was from the north, Upper West, East area. I took some samples from there. And then I took some samples from Tepa area, 2 different areas. Send the samples to the laboratory. The first test, before we can move forward, to check whether it contains cyanide or not. Maybe they have put some cyanide in it and it's going to do the trick. And they have just given it what? A new name. So go to the next slide. So the objective that I set for myself is check the presence or absence of cyanide in that chemical over some samples. The second one is, you are saying that this will be able to extract gold. Then, let's check on that, whether it will actually be able to extract gold. Then I added the third one. Yes, this is just some powder. Okay? Maybe this powder will be able to extract gold. But when you take it to the field, there might be something in there that will give us another hell than what we are currently facing. So I set these 3 objectives. I know you are eager to know what happened. Move to the next slide. Move to the next slide. Yeah. So, the results of objective 1. We did this analysis at ALS laboratory in Kumasi. That is a global certified laboratory with their ISO number. They do most of the analysis for mining companies in Ghana. I didn't want to do it in a laboratory that wasn't certified. And the results that they gave to me, they first used colorimetric method. Okay? So they went through the processes, making sure the sample was brought to an alkaline status, and then they added rhodamine and silver nitrate. And what they were looking for, if the color changed to pink, then it meant there is no cyanide residue. So all the 4 samples that we sent to them suggested that. So we made a report to Minerals Commission, and they said, good, you have done qualitative analysis on this, but can you do quantitative one. So we were directed to go to Ghana Standard Boards. We gave them the samples. And then we gave samples to EPA for them also to do their own test. So the results of standard boards indicated that we had 1.5% of cyanide in the sample. I said, oh, that is good. From 100 to 1.1, then that is the best for us. Coke right, when they finished Coke right, they went to what? Coke zero. Okay? So if you are giving me 1.1, then there is hope for this industry. So we waited for EPA also to come out with their results. And you know what? Their result that they brought was 97 ppm. But when you convert this 97 ppm to percentage, divide by 10,000. So it was 0.0097, telling us that that is what? Negligible. And on the basis of that, EPA said, I will give you the license to use this chemical in country, but it should go to the mining sector. Don't take it to Abogoroshi market. That is not where it's meant for. So, no, this time you are running too fast. Are you tired? So, objective 2. Objective 2 was to check whether it will be able to what? To extract gold, like the mercury and then the cyanide. So, what we did was we sent samples to the same laboratory. But here, what are we comparing with? Sodium cyanide and this chemical. And they have analytical technique that they call cyanide bottle roll. The only thing that I advise the laboratory to do is to use sodium cyanide for one pair of the samples and then SEYCHEM for another pair. Same system. We're only changing what? The chemicals. And these are the results that we had. We have the 15A. The 15A are the results we obtained for the new chemical. And then 11A is the sodium cyanide. And as you can see, results, the minimum results we had with the new chemical was 0.575. The split of that sample using cyanide was 0.458, meaning that that chemical can even extract more gold than the traditional method. And then when you look at the maximum, we have the same. And then when you look at the average, Chris, let's go to the next slide. I think I have the summary there. Yes. So the table that we have there, this is the interpretation under the lab condition. The maximum measured gold in samples considered as duplicate pair from the two analytical methods were 2.901 and 3.032 grams. In all respects, the new chemical was giving us much higher results. That is the point I want to make. The rest, I think, we will share the speech. You can see it. Next slide. So, the table 1 were the samples from the north and then from Tepa area. The one that are plotted here were samples from southwest Ghana, Bogoso area. And over here, we took 11 samples and we tried to do correlation analysis between cyanide and then the new chemical. And as you can see, correlation is what? Perfectly what? Good. So, if I cook the food for you this way and ask you to eat, what will you do? You will eat it. It meant that we can replace mercury and cyanide with this particular chemical. Okay? But I'm very sure that there might be some doubting Thomas here who will want to see, because all these are laboratory conditions where you take small samples and you do that. Okay? So let's move on, and I'll show you the plant condition, what this new chemical can do. Yeah, so this is the new chemical. And the question is, you said it's a powder. So what quantity of this powder should I add to a ton of ore to give me what? Good results. So we did this sort of simulation. I'm coming to a close, don't worry. I am tired already. Okay? So if you look at this graph, you realize that the more you increase the dosage, the better what? The recovery. Okay? So if you are not sure of your ore, start with what? Some high dosage, and then optimize until you get to a state whereby it will be very suitable for your work. But this one, you need a geologist and a metallurgist or a chemist to help. Let's move on. The people are getting tired. The speaker is tired already. Yeah, so move on. Yeah. So this is another comparison that we did here. We have the top one to be the chemical. The down one is SEYCHEM. I hope you can read from where you are. You realize that cyanide at lower concentrations, it gives you good recovery. Okay? When 150 ppm is giving 70% recovery for cyanide, the new chemical was only giving 30% recovery. Okay? Meaning that if you've not studied your ore, you will use this chemical, and at the end, you'll come and tell the people who invented it that it is not working. There is a particular stage that it will work effectively, and you need to work it there. Besides, it's eco-friendly. It will not kill you. It will not destroy the ecosystem, and that is the way. And then, what? The simulation. 1,000 ppm of cyanide recovered over 80% gold. But 3,000 ppm of SEYCHEM also recovered 80%. That is at the laboratory condition. Can we move on to the plant condition? That is where all the story ends. Because if the chemical should work and help us to extract the gold and use it peacefully, it should happen at the plant site. That is where the bar stops. After mining, that is where it goes. So go on. Yeah. So this is the plant condition. The first one is what? Is a cyanide. So let's move to where we have the higher values. At 500 ppm, cyanide gave us about 84% recovery. 500 ppm of SEYCHEM, we had 81% recovery. But there is something here. At 1,000 ppm, at plant condition, cyanide gave us below 70% of recovery. But SEYCHEM gave us 82% recovery. What is the secret here? There are other minerals that are associated with the ore. So if you are able to know the ore type, you will know when you are doing the plant condition, another chemical you have to add for it to dissolve those chemicals
before the application of this. So if you look at the two, one will say, at plant condition, the new chemical is the chemical that will help the sector. I think I've finished my story, isn't it? Okay. So, no more story, but I'll go on. Let's see the slide, because there are some people here that I need to acknowledge. It's so important. I will not go through the summary. I think the summary and conclusion, we've done it. We now believe that SEYCHEM can replace what? Mercury and cyanide. If you have any other questions, you can ask me after this session, and I'll be patient to take you through that. Okay, so, Prof, I know you are tired. You started early this morning. I'm punishing you, but I'll not get you to punish you in my life except today. So just give me 5 minutes to acknowledge some people. So go to acknowledgement. Go down. Punch. Ah. Do you see this woman here? She is 82 years. She never went to school, but she said she will give me what? Formal education. Mama waha, so original hormona, I'm so nebana yaka certain thing. Okay, so that is my mom. If he had not brought me to this earth, I wouldn't have been here. Okay. Yeah, so if she comes back, I want you to see her, to help me to thank her for the good thing that she's done, making me whom I am. Okay. Next slide. You know, the pictures. If I wanted to bring all the pictures, my uncles are here, my brothers, and I cannot put all of them, their pictures here. Okay? With great honor, I'll be happy if you will join me to thank them for bringing me this far.
Hello.
Hey, shall I go back one step? The second is my immediate family.
Hello.
I hope you can see what I'm trying to do. The anchor of my development and progress. Bro. Me shall say exploration geologists. We married for more than 15 good years. The only time the two of us stayed together was when I went to UK, and then he came to stay for 6 months. So all the burden was on her. And then, unfortunately for her, they say it's by nature of my work. When you come and you want to do it, God gives you boy. So unfortunately, I have
Boys Company. So if the boys are here, they are here and they are not doing bad. Yeah. At least I have somebody to hand over to. I went to Kumasi High School. One of them decided to go to Kumasi High School. I did geological engineering. He said, Daddy, I will also do geological engineering. Started working in the mine. Hey, I'm following your footsteps. They are here. Okay? The first is a medical doctor at Agogo Presby Hospital. But I only talk about the geological engineer. They are twins. The other is a mechanical engineer, a plant engineer in another mining company. Maybe we have to diversify. The last one just completed KNU. He says he will go to the mine, so he's Niemont on national assignment. Yeah. So that is for the family. But can we see the last one? I cannot acknowledge everybody, so I've just picked bits and pieces. The next slide. No, this one I've spoken about him. Yeah. The anchor woman. He did very well. Yes. These are the men who shaped my education, my life. The first one is Emeritus Professor Kamra Jiboji Ajima. He supervised my first degree and then the second. And we have a plan for this industry. What I presented today was something that we talked about 30 years ago, and it's still valid now. The second is Prof. Prospanode from Legon. After working in the industry for that many years, we happened to work for Ashanti. He told me, enough is enough for the industry. Let's go and share the knowledge that we have acquired. So he was the one who convinced me to leave industry to join academia. Unfortunately, he couldn't come here today because he's on an assignment for UNDP tomorrow. Okay? And then the last, I'm sure the color will tell you where he is coming from. He was my supervisor for my PhD. And there was something that he told me, Emma, I have seen what you are made up of. I am going to help you to be greater than what you thought. And incidentally, I was also able to convince him that if we look into this sort of research, will be useful to the planet Earth. So in his last inaugural, he also talked about what? Grain gold. How to get the gold from the ground. And I'm also talking about grain gold transition today. These are the people that made me. But there is the last one. Can we see the last one? So that we end. Does this color sound familiar to you? Eh? This is where it all started. The determination to succeed started at Kumasi High School. Today, Mrantie are here to support. Mrantie, Ede asem na moka. Prof Chair, Mrantie Penini. Ofrimu ansana yeko. So he is our head teacher. Thank you very much for your audience. Prof Chair, thank you.
Undoubtedly, we have all listened keenly with rapt attention. The eloquently presented panoramic treatment of a scholarly work done by the able Professor Emmanuel Arhin. A very resounding and pregnant applause for him. These professors, if you leave them, they will talk the whole day. And with this depth of knowledge, experience, expertise, and insight, I think Uenr, we have the solution to the Galamsey menace. And I know the Vice Chancellor will charge him to lead the crusade and champion the expansion and extension of the frontiers of knowledge, expertise, and activities to combat the menace. Thank you very much for the delivery. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting to the end of today's historic event, and I am privileged to invite a group or a person to give a brief presentation dubbed the spoken word. After that, there will be some presentations, acknowledgement of some personalities, some announcements, and then we pray and close. The spoken word, where are you? If you are not ready, we proceed.
Ghana, our motherland, blessed with the purest of gold. Gold that emanates from deep within our core. The sparkling mineral, which enters the name Gold Coast, has long served us good. The sight of gold awakes our spirit and calms our soul. Gold, our precious asset, which we carry on our shoulders with pride, has now put our shoulders down in sorrow and grief. The sight of gold, which makes a heart jump with joy, now makes a heart jump with fear and anguish. Fear that another water body has been destroyed. Fear that another life will be lost to our recklessness. Why? Why do we overexploit our natural resource? Why do we wait for the death of another before we realize the perish of our brother? Why do we put the greed for wealth before the very existence of our brothers and sisters? Oh, how my heart burns for Mother Ghana. Mother Ghana groans and moans in pain of loss. No, never again.
See how they slack, worry about all the things that they lack. Young, gifted, and black, gift the gap and I rap. I suppose I should clap, give thanks and give dap. Put my son on my lap, or run a victory lap. Opportunity knocks, but we too deaf to hear. Put to death our fears, bring to life our dreams. We out here, we don't adhere to regular rules. Our mama's fasting and praying for our circular foods. With some reckless dudes, lost for shoes and jewels. New chucks, custom made of such golden stews. Mysterious life, Nancy Drew shared no clues. Curious knife, stabbed us, now we bleed and bruise. Confusing wants with needs, what I want and need. A house in Tresaco, a villa, and a down with jet skis. Jet setting in the minutes, 30 seconds, and I reckon no question. Make every first I get the best impression. To just suppose I juxtapose me now with me when I was 16 years old. Innocence lost in less than 15 years though. I'm distinguished, so they can't extinguish my flow. I overpowered all these cowards, them no good fit, them need juju. I know I don't have to pound them, need fufu. Minyor shot when it's shot, so I save susu. No shortcuts to heaven, as Jesus is true. Abrabonya ne wala monzu. I said, Namun konim die, now so. say one can't my entire the son diempo. Capra. And from the who, but the hour you. And sa and yet man so and send it you. Hey, can manifest a dance. And in my foot 20 was to come the back wow. No shortcut to heaven.
So now, why don't we protect our valuable assets? Why don't we channel it into something productive? Why don't we make Mother Ghana roll with laughter?
A round of applause for them. Thank you very much. Joe, can you bring that? For information, the event is being streamed live on Greener FM, so you can tune in. We are now going to do some presentations for our able professor. And for today, our memory verse is the principle of uniformitarianism. If you forget anything, remember that. The principle of uniformitarianism. The present is the key to the past. I see. Now, as we champion we prepare to organize the second transformational dialogue, I think another one will emerge, the principle of transformationalism. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, in no particular order, I'll mention these groups who will proceed upstage to do their presentation today, Professor. First on the bill, the School of Geosciences, they have a presentation. Please proceed upstage. To be followed by the Department of Geospatial, Sciences? Yes, so the school, Prof.
Prof. Chair, all professors, staff, Nananum, invited guests. I am here on behalf of School of Geosciences and the Department of Geospatial Sciences to express our appreciation and support to Professor Emmanuel Arhin for his leadership and the coaching style he has brought to our school. So, Prof. Chair, please allow me to read the goal in the citation. citation in honor of Professor Emmanuel Arhin. Professor Emmanuel Arhin, Professor of Geology, researcher, scientist, and administrator par excellence. The School of Geosciences salutes you. You are the Dean of the School of Geosciences, and you exercise the oversight responsibility of the Doma campus, granted you with diligence. You visibly champion the cause and development of not only the School of Geosciences, but also the Doma campus and the university as a whole. You are leaving no stone unturned to see the Doma campus grow. Through your unending and unrelenting efforts, the university has received a set of medical equipment for the establishment of a clinic at Doma campus. As a result of your exquisite lobbying skills, you were able to get a set of office furniture for the office of the Dean of School of Geosciences. Your work ethics and consistent positive attitude towards personal and professional development of your team has made a huge difference. Your enthusiasm and unflinching commitment to the development of the university deserve recommendation and emulation. In recognition of your unbridled favor for scholarship, professionalism, and selfless service, the School of Geosciences presents to you this citation. This 16th day of March 2023, in the year of our Lord, on the occasion of the presentation of your professional inaugural lecture. Congratulations. Congratulations, Professor. This is coming from Department of Geospatial Sciences, where you are a member as a staff. So when you go home, please, you open it and enjoy it with your family.
Tranquil Ambience Limited is next to present. Tranquil Ambience Limited. And that will be followed by Say Construction Limited, SEYCHEM. Say Construction. Okay. Goldridge Ghana Limited, hold yourself in readiness. You are next. And friends from Buakwa, you call yourself the Nobles, will also be the next to present.
Thank you very much for this opportunity accorded us to make a presentation to the learned professor. With the greatest respect to the chair, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are here representing Say Construction Limited, an affiliate company of SEYCHEM, which is the promoter and exclusive importer and distributor of the eco-friendly gold leaching reagent that Professor Emmanuel Arhin has been working on. He has been with us for the past few years, and his distinguished service has actually led us to bring this product onto the market with the endorsement of the manufacturing partners outside who have given us the license to commercialize this product. Without Professor Arhin, we wouldn't have been able to come this far. We thank you so much. We would like to... Yes. Okay. So on this note, we wish to present this citation to Professor Arhin in acknowledgement for all the good services he has rendered us, and also to let you know and add up to all the good things that has been said about him, that he's indeed a celebrated learned academician and a professional who has something to offer the country. So we are here on behalf of Say Construction Limited to present this citation to him. It also comes with a pledge, which we will present to him after the session. Thank you very much.
Goldridge Ghana Limited, Goldridge, if you are here. Goldridge Ghana Limited. The nobles, the nobles.
Amen. I'm say yenina yenim se brofo ye kasa ye atum na menyi ni se bronyi bi beto ne bada ko ana sa bankwa minua ye minua na chi obi e ni ho ni nua no ma o mo free ma me ba ko no wanyi sen me ntimi na me di na chi na so food ya pa na ye pia wo minua ye wa ya ade ba ko pe na afa yonko so afa yonko pa meba ewie oboase setek okoye technical drawing men semre wanya school wotakwa wanya school ewo Kumasi minua yi se adenti na obi aye technical drawing na ontimi nye engineering wodi machi de meko tamale ne ese wo ye bia o ka kire din ne se akora no bana se o wantimi anye ne ese o ya ye mfa so mo mo no ene me ba no eye mechanical engineer. Amen. Nobo so na ma enam adwuma 70 ti migina ha migina o munyina anam. Amen.
That's the nobles.
Professor Emmanuel Arhin, on behalf of Gold Ridge Holdings, who are actually sponsors of this program, I wish to present to you this package for what you have been doing in this short time for the university, for the country, and also for the industry. We thank you for this special presentation, which is very international and the very first of its kind. We wish you the very best. Congratulations, Professor Arhin.
Mr. Bright Karim Abdallah, a friend of Prof, is also here to do a presentation. Mr. Bright Karim Abdallah. The class of 2008 UDS. Please, you are next. The class of 2008.
Prof, please, this is from your son and friend, Bright. He says, thank you so much for your support and God bless you.
Goldstone Resources, if you are here. Class of 2008, are they here? UDS. Goldstone, are they all? I see. I understand they are the first batch of students, Prof students at UDS. You are not reading the citation, you will just present it for the sake of time, with respect. So who is going to speak?
Thank you, Prof. Chair. I'm here with my sister on behalf of the first batch of Earth Science students, Prof passed out at UDS 2008. So we are presenting this citation to him. And then another one.